Okay, in this video we're going to take a look at how to expand and condense logarithms, and the reason we're going over this, there's a couple of properties that are quite useful. When we start getting complicated equations that have more than one logarithm involved, it helps be able to condense them into one value to work with. And on the flip side, every once in a while you have one complicated logarithm and you're just trying to get to a piece of it to work with, and so it helps to take one complicated logarithm and write it out as several small logarithms that are added or subtracted together. So we're going to look at how to do that, and this is just a mechanical process, a couple of properties that once you know, you can apply them when you need to, and it's not all the time, but occasionally it's something that's necessary. So let's take a look at the blue one. Okay, we're going to look at how to expand a logarithm. And the biggest thing we need to remember is that when we're expanding or condensing, multiplication and addition go together. Okay, I can expand multiplication by adding logarithms, and division happens to go with subtraction. And this is a fairly common thing, not just in logarithms, but in a lot of details within higher level algebra. Okay, so we're going to try and remember those concepts. So what I can do here, by the way, let's remember that this logarithm is written with a base of 10. Even though there isn't a 10 written there, when there's no base shown, we're going to assume it's 10. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at how many things go into this logarithm. I look at this and I've got a 3, I've got an x squared, and a y to the 4th. So I kind of have three different components here. What I'm going to try to do is break this up into three different logarithms. Okay, so I'm going to write three different logarithms. Now they all have a base of 10. That hasn't changed. Okay. Oops. Alright, so I got a log base 10 of everything. And now what I need to look at is I need to look at this and say, okay, some of these things are connected with multiplication and some are connected with division. So I look at the 3 and the x. Well, I'm going to put a 3 right here and an x squared right there. And those two things right here are multiplied together. So in order to expand multiplication, I'm going to use addition for its logarithms. Now on the other part of this entire thing is divided by y to the 4th. Division, I'm going to use subtraction. So I'm going to subtract log base y to the 4th. Okay, and that looks pretty good. I've split up into three different things, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the last property, which basically says I can take these numbers, these exponents, and this is a pretty useful property. If I want to, if it helps me make things easier, I'm going to write them out front as coefficients. Okay. So I'm going to write this whole thing as log base 10 of 3 plus 2 log base 10 of x minus 4 log base 10 of y. And we're not always going to do this. We would call this the expanded version. We only do it when it helps us. When we're trying to maybe isolate one piece, for example, if I'm just trying to figure out something like this or something like that and I want to get the other stuff kind of away from it so that I can piece it together, sometimes it helps to break it apart. Now let's jump over to the condensing one. This is just the same thing in reverse. Condensing means, well, I got more than one logarithm and I'm going to try and cram them all into one because, for example, I'm trying to solve something and it'd be nice if I only had to deal with that logarithm one time. So in this case, I'm going to try to remember that, and I'll use red here, see if we can remember this stuff right there. Whoops, I accidentally wrote green and I meant to do red. Right there. What we just did right there, we're going to do this in reverse. These numbers right here really represent exponents. So I'm going to move them out here back as exponents. So I'm going to write log base 7 of a squared minus log base 7 of b to the 5th. And now the key is to look right here. Oops. Let's do that in a different color. Right there. That's subtraction. And when I go up here, subtraction came from division. So if I want to put these back together, it would be log base 7, first one divided by the second one, of a squared over b to the 5th. And there are times when this format right here is easier to work with. So it just depends. These are properties that you can use anytime you need to adjust a logarithm or multiple logarithms without changing what they mean. Okay? Expanding and condensing.